All right, so let's get this PCM connector repinned and finished. Well, that was a lot. A huge amount of wiring. PCM C1 and C2 are rewired. Fuel pump is tied into C2. The entirety of C1 has been rewired, repinned. Everything's secured down here. We have run everything up and over in the location where everything was already run. We're going to secure this up a bit better when we're done. I cut all the zip ties off and put new ones on so that we don't have a bunch of erroneous zip ties. We do have to run the relay on this side and run it to power, but that'll be when the Battery box and everything is back in. So that's most of the wiring done. All right, so next let's get the coolant overflow and washer fluid bottle and everything. Originally we had all of the rock lights. All of these wiring, there's, I believe, 6 or 8 on each side at least. All of them were run up and into the hood, and they were kind of all wire tied together into somewhere under the hood. In this case, this is a lot tighter under the hood. There's not really going to be any space for that under here. So the plan now is to run all of the rock lights down into this pocket underneath the battery tray on this side, and then down into the inner fender on this side, where we'll tie everything up and then put the fender back in, make sure nothing is touching any moving suspension components or anything. So since I'm trying to get the battery tray in so we can get kind of everything on this side finished up, I'm going to go underneath. We're going to route all of the rock lights on this side up to here and see if we get the battery tray in. So looks like I'm supposed to put this in before I put this in. This isn't a big deal. It's only 4 bolts that hold this in. It's all wired. It's no problem. I can pop this out, put that in, and get most of this side finished. Apparently my phone battery went dead during that, and I missed the whole half of that. I'm not even sure if I got any of it in the time lapse. So, battery tray is in. The wiring is all routed the proper way it's supposed to be here. Coolant and washer fluid reservoirs are back in. And all of the wiring for all of the rock lights is tucked in behind this panel. It is zip tied to the harness there, so if ever anybody needs to get in there, it's going to be hidden behind there. I didn't want it up in the engine compartment because there is no room in here as it is, and we've already got to get a bunch of stuff in here. So anything I can get out of the engine compartment, I will. I'm going to do the same thing now on this side. We're going to tuck all these down in there. This one's off just because it had to come off during disassembly. So I'm going to get those tucked in down there. We'll have to get, these are the 2 rear. I believe the 2 lights that are pointing backwards in the box. Or maybe those are the ones up here. I'm not sure. Actually, these are probably the front ones. Fog lamps. Yeah, these are the front ones. The rear ones are... Right, rear ones are down there. Okay. Yeah, just trying to get as much wiring buttoned up as we can in this area so that we can start moving forward towards the radiator grill, and all of that fun stuff. So let's get this side rock lights done. Last thing we're going to do today is I have these two push quick connect fittings. These go back here on the heater fittings, which are of course right behind this hose. You can't really see those two fittings right there. So I've got two hoses on the back of the engine, sticking down there somewhere. Put these connectors on, attach those to the heater core. All right, heater hoses are on. The bulk of the wiring on this side's done. There's obviously still some wiring to do. Almost all of the wiring is done on this side. We got to put this inner fender liner back in. That's got two rock lights. That's what the two extra connectors are for. And then tomorrow we can start. We're going to pull the winch off because you can't get the grill on with the winch on. So I have to pop the winch off to do this. Then we'll set the whole front of this on. And if everything goes to plan, tomorrow this thing hopefully will make some noise. So see you tomorrow, and hopefully it's good news. All right, so we're hoping today to hear this thing make some noise. We've got most of the PDC installed, batteries in here, wiring. We're just trying to make everything fit and be clean and nice over here. So tidying up wiring, we have the relay for the fuel pump to install, and then we're getting pretty close. So let's get into some wiring. All right, so we have the battery box in, we have the PDC in, we have the battery in, at which point we went to modify the auto stop start battery wiring. And what we are supposed to do is remove this wire, which actually goes under the inner fender. It's not really accessible with all of this installed, so we're going to pull this back out. Not a big deal because there are a couple of little spots where this is very tight to the coils right here. So we're going to take that box back out. We're going to shave some of this down to make it easier if this ever has to come out again, and to give a little bit more clearance to the engine. And we're going to take the battery wiring out at the same time. So not a total loss. Sometimes this is the way you got to do stuff. we're gonna do now, since we got this guy out, we've got all of our wiring that we need removed. We got to modify a couple of these cables. What we're gonna do, I'm just gonna shave a bit of this down. This rib right here, it actually makes things a lot more difficult to go in. We're gonna take this this off as well. It's not necessary. Not sure about this one. I don't think we'll take this one off. Maybe. Yeah, probably take this one off too. This just gives us a lot more room when you put this thing back in. These ones here you want for the battery cables, but over here, there's nothing that goes here anymore. So let's get these modified a bit. Okay, this is all modified. Remove this rib from down here. Gives us a little more clearance to the coil packs. This guy, make it a little easier to come in. This end is already off. And we've done this end a little bit too, because this is difficult to get in with this going around the harness. Hopefully that makes it slightly easier to go in, but we will see. So let's start putting it back together. Actually, I'm gonna build these wires here before we put that battery box back in. We're gonna modify 2 of these power wires, so I just want to make sure they're ready to go before I put that battery box everything is modified. Battery box is modified. We have our cables made. Negative cable somewhere. Yeah, dropped it right down there. We have rerouted the wiring for the auxiliary fuel pump. I've put that down under here, so that's going to go in beside the battery now. Just a little cleaner than where it was. Just going to zip tie some of the wires down in here, and then we'll get this battery tray put back in, hopefully for the last time. Battery tray, battery, PDC, everything is in, everything's wired. The fuel pump has been wired. Everything is pretty well done up there. We're going to put the coolant overflow reservoir and washer fluid reservoir back in. Then I'm going to put the front on this thing, and we might even put some fluids in it, and then we're really getting close to making some noise with this. So that is coolant reservoir installed. Everything is good to go there. Let's get the radiator and everything. This guy here installed. Everything plumbed in, and then we can see how close we are to making noise with this thing. So we tried to put the grill in, and what we've got, the transmission cooler lines. These are AN fittings, Army Navy. This is what we have. This threads into here. Then that's supposed to thread into the radiator, but the plugs that come out of the radiator are 1/4-inch pipe thread, and they're totally different than what we've got for these AN fittings. These are in stock in town. They're on the way right now. So once we get those, we can attach the transmission cooler lines. I'm just going to keep plugging ahead with everything else that I can at this point, and once those get here, that'll be about the last thing before we start adding fluids. So if I get to where I'm done here, I go back to the inner fenders, organize all those, because everything that I had nicely organized over on this side, I completely had to undo because we had to take everything back out and re-modify the power and grounds for the auto stop shop battery. Right, and since it has to come out for the end of this thing, I'm just going to take the winch out right now, make everything a little bit easier putting this whole front assembly in. I'm not having to lift over top of it, so pop that in. We're waiting on the AN fittings to finally get this rad and everything set in place here, so might as well spend some time putting the inner fenders back in and sorting all this wiring out for the rock lights. And then we're one step closer. So I can't put the fender liner in yet because we put the radiator in. This line right here needs to go in through the inner fender liner because it's about impossible from the top. And over on this side, the power steering lines also need to go in through this fender liner. So can't put the fender liners in. Can't put the radiator in. It's about all I can do up on this engine side for right now. So just so that I'm not held up, looks like go grab the welder and see if we can get these rock sliders burned back in. Okay, driver's side is all welded. I'm gonna give that a little bit to cool down, clean up a little bit of it. For the most part, those welds are fine. A couple of little big that I'm gonna sand down, make it a little prettier. Then once they're cool, obviously primer and paint so that the frame is all even and we never have any rust issues. So now on to the package. All right, so that's about it for today. I'm just gonna clean these up a little bit more before time runs out, and we have our fittings for the radiator and such. So tomorrow we'll be putting the radiator in, and I know I keep saying this, but hopefully we're gonna hear this thing run. All right, it is Thursday morning. We are hoping to have this thing running here shortly. We're gonna put the radiator, everything on the front accessories onto here right now. And at that point, we will wire up the coolant pump to the supercharger, and then that's about it before we can turn a key.
Don't wanna start this trip all over. I feel it going round and round. I'm stuck in one place with no tail to chase, staring at an empty cell.
All right, this thing is mostly in. One fitting is the last thing we're waiting for. So we did get new AN fittings for, see, right up in here for the transmission cooler portion of it. So we got two straight AN fittings, and right down here is where this one has to go directly into this cross member. So we just need one that's a 90-degree to turn this down, so that we can attach the transmission cooler to the bottom of it. And we're gonna screw everything up out of the way here. So since we're waiting for this AN fitting, which is fine, I can access it from the bottom, let's get these inner fender liners put back together and put back together. Inner fenders are back in. Everything is secure here. Everything is secure here. All the rock lights are in. Waiting for our 90-degree fitting. I'm gonna go underneath, fill the transfer case. Just try and keep a little busy. I've still got wiring for the coolant pump, and we have to hook up the park brake cables inside. One of the last things we got to get here is the wiring for the coolant pump. This needs power and a ground for the relay, and then we got to tie this into a switched ignition source so that this only runs while the vehicle's on, so it doesn't kill the pump. So let's get that wired up. Okay, so that coolant pump is turning on. I just have to wire the trigger signal to something that is switched ignition, just so that that doesn't run at all times. Other than that, we're one fitting and fluids away from making noise. So I'm gonna start filling this thing up, and hopefully my fitting, the transmission cooler, will be here any second. All right, everything is pretty well hooked up. We've got the fuel pump hooked up. We've got the coolant pump hooked up. Cooling system's primed. There is coolant in the engine. There's oil in the engine. There's coolant in the supercharger. That's about it. Everything is pretty well ready to go for today. I guess we'll hit it tomorrow and get it ready. Oh, I lied. We're gonna start it right now. You ready? Jump in there, Brian. Clear. Oh yeah. Let's get the exhaust sound.